So you did it. You championed the business case. You got the funding, and your data warehouse business intelligence project is officially a go. Seriously, congratulations. That is a huge milestone. But, after the champagne pops, a really critical question lands right on the table. What are you actually building? I mean, without a clear plan, even the most well-funded projects can just drift into chaos, right? You end up creating more data silos or redundant systems. You need a blueprint, something that connects your high-level business goals all the way down to the servers and the software. Well, that blueprint has a name: enterprise architecture. And trust me, understanding it is absolutely key to making sure your project is a massive success. Okay, so that's the official definition. It's precise, but let's be honest, it's a little dense, isn't it? In simple terms, it's really just about how all the pieces, the people, the processes, the technology, all fit together. But I think an analogy makes it even clearer. Think of it as the master blueprint. I mean, you would never build a skyscraper without a detailed architectural plan, right? So why would you try to build a complex data warehouse without one? This blueprint is what ensures that what you build is stable, it's functional, and most importantly, it actually serves the needs of the business. And this right here is the model that makes it all click: the enterprise architecture pyramid. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful framework that shows how everything in an organization is layered, from the highest level strategy way up at the top, down to the concrete technology at the bottom. This pyramid is going to be our guide for this whole explainer. So we're going to break this pyramid down, layer by layer. We'll start at the top with the big why, then we'll move down to the what and the how. And then, at the end, we'll see how it all connects to turn a business vision into a functioning reality. All right, first up, the most important layer of them all, the business layer. This is the why behind everything that we do. Before a single line of code gets written, before a server is even thought about, we have to understand what the business is actually trying to achieve. You'll notice it sits right at the top of the pyramid, and that is completely intentional. It's there to show that technology must always serve the business strategy. When you get this backwards, you end up with technology driving the business, which leads to super expensive tools that don't solve any real problems. The strategy has to dictate everything that follows. So what's actually inside this layer? Well, you've got things like the company's mission and vision, its org structure, the specific business requirements for a project, and those critical success factors that tell us if we've actually won. Basically, this layer defines the destination. Okay, with the why totally established, let's move down one level to the information layer. This is the what. And for anyone in our field, this is where things start to look really familiar. This is our home turf. This is the home of data warehousing and business intelligence. It sits just below the business layer. And this whole domain is about how we organize and manage the data that we need to achieve those business goals we just talked about. You can think of it as the bridge between that abstract strategy and the tangible assets, the data itself. And just look at this list. It's like a who's who of DWBI activities. You've got data governance, data integration, architecture, modeling, and of course, dashboards and BI. These are all the components that we work with day in and day out. In fact, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see the absolute core of any DWBI project right here: governance, integration, architecture, analytics, and quality. These 5 pillars are the beating heart. And what makes the pyramid framework so powerful is it shows us that this heart doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists to serve the business brain up top. So we have the why from the business and the what from the information. Now we need the how. And this brings us down to the foundational layers of the pyramid, what I like to call the engine room. This is made up of the applications and the technology that power the entire vision. We're looking at the bottom 2 layers here. The application layer is all the software we use, and the technology layer is the hardware it all runs on. These are the tools and the infrastructure that bring the data and those business goals to life. So on the left, you've got the applications, the software that does the work, from integrating big enterprise systems to custom-built tools. And on the right, you've got the technology it all runs on. Every single business goal eventually translates into a requirement for physical servers, secure networks, and a robust database infrastructure. This is where the vision meets the metal. Okay, so we've seen all 4 layers. Now let's connect the dots and see how a single business idea flows all the way through the pyramid, from top to bottom. This is really where the blueprint proves its value. Let's take a simple goal: The business says we want to improve customer retention. That's our why. So in the information layer, we define what data we need, things like customer profiles, purchase history, the actual metrics for retention. Then for the application layer, we figure out how we get that data, maybe from our CRM and sales systems. And finally, the technology layer supports it all, running on our secure servers and networks. See how it all just lines up, one logical step after the other?
So, here's the crucial takeaway. The enterprise architecture pyramid isn't just some theoretical model. It is a practical tool that ensures alignment. It's what stops you from building these technically impressive solutions that don't actually solve anyone's problem. It guarantees that the technology you're building is directly serving the strategy that the business defined.
And that brings us to the final question I want you to think about. When you look at your own work, at your own projects, at your own organization, can you see the connections? Does your data strategy have a clear blueprint?